What's up guys, welcome back to Gladiators, and today on our playtest is the Head Gravity Tour, which is updated with a 98-inch head for the first time ever, a gravity racket with a smaller head, and you can kind of tell that by all of the writing that states that it's a 98-inch racket all over this prototype model. But yes, my main question to this thing is whether or not this is going to be the racket that I will switch to for my normal Head Gravity Pro with a 108-inch head and an 18x20 string pattern, and if this is going to give me that edge in control and feel. I'm actually really excited to test it out, and as far as I'm aware, the beam on this thing, I mean the protector on the racket, makes the sound of the racket slightly different when you swing it. It kind of makes it like a whistle sound, and I'm excited to try that out. But yeah, without further ado, check out the specs. Listen, Glads, I really wanted this thing to be an absolute game changer and a revolution, and although I know just how rarely something like that happens in the world of tennis rackets, I was still hoping for it. However, don't expect this to be the racket that will take your UTR from like a 6.5 to a 12. That's not gonna happen. In fact, if your level is beginner to intermediate, I wouldn't even really consider this racket because it's a pretty hard beast to tame. Let me start with the thing that I probably love the most in this Gravity, and it has to be the looks. I'm sorry, but the looks of the new Gravity range are just out of this world. Now, when it comes to the playtest, it becomes rather challenging for me to evaluate it. In theory, this is supposed to be the competition of the Blade 98 16x19, but the main reason why the Blade is a bestseller is because although it's a 98-inch head control oriented racket, it's very user friendly and easy to get into, even for a beginner if they really try to, even though I wouldn't recommend. This Gravity Tour, on the other hand, is a racket that even an experienced player would struggle with, and a beginner would just throw it out of the window. Gravity's main strong point is of course the size of the sweet spot, and on the 100-inch, it's massive. Now, you'd think that the 98-inch sweet spot should be bigger in comparison to its size, like it happens with the Yonex rackets, for example, or like it happens with one of my favorite rackets, the Head Prestige Tour. It's a 95-inch head that feels like a 98. However, that's not the case at all. The racket sweet spot is rather small, and if you're not focused at all times while taking the shot, and if you're not moving your legs well at all times, definitely skip this one. Now to the shot-by-shot analysis. This is a rather maneuverable racket with a pretty good stability and good feel. Therefore, I really did enjoy it on my forehands. I could play both flat and go for some spinny shots, and the spin is obviously noticeably more effective on the Tour version compared to my Pro, but spin is not really something that I'm chasing. By the way, the sound of the racket whistling, that's actually true. I don't know if it's because of the shape of the protector or what, but when you swing the racket in a flat motion, the racket actually makes like a whistling noise. But when you do the motion of a topspin shot, it doesn't, and that can actually distract your opponents. But anyways, Glads, if you feel like the most feel-oriented version of the Gravity racket is your way to go, you know where to get this thing in its actual paint job that is looking really good, and I'm loving the new Head Gravity paint job. Like always, the link to get it is going to be down in the description below, together with our exclusive discount code that will save you some cash, and that also really helps the channel. But yeah, back to the review. Now come the backends, and here I really don't care much about the maneuverability of a frame and mainly focus on the stability, penetration, and feel. Stability and feel are on spot and are definitely good compared to the competition. However, because of the weight and the balance of the racket, the penetration suffers, and I'm having to put a lot more effort into every backhand to get the ball deep enough to damage my opponent with the shot. And the backhand is not something I'll compromise ever, and that's the main reason why I would not consider switching to the Gravity Tour, unfortunately. Might not be a huge deal breaker for some of you Glads, and this can totally be fixed by adding some lead to it, but adding weight to your racket is definitely something an advanced player would do, and that just adds even more reason to why I'm saying that this is not a good racket for beginners or intermediate players. Let's do an approach to his backhand and head out to the net now, where this racket really surprised me. I wouldn't say I felt confident with it, but for some reason I was producing just a crazy amount of highlights when approaching the web. It's maneuverable and stable, and although the sweet spot is small, on the net it really doesn't feel that small for some reason. Serving with this racket is actually quite similar to my Gravity Pro. Good flats, good stability, and unlike the Pro, pretty good topspin and slice serves, thanks to the 16x19 string pattern, of course. So what's the conclusion of this whole review then? Well, I still haven't made my mind up about this racket. On one hand, I'd obviously prefer my Gravity Pro over this for the better penetration, stability, control, and if I wanted to make my life a bit harder but feel good about myself, I guess I'd just go for the Head Prestige Tour. Because let's also not forget that it literally has the Gladiator stripe paint job. And if the 98-inch head is a must, I'd go for the Wilson blade, and if it had to be the head, I'd go for one of the Radicals. On the other hand, this racket has a really good potential if you work on personalizing it to your liking with some lead, leather grip, and some silicone in the grip, and that paint job is just too good to miss. But here are the grades. I am signing off, but I will see you Glads in the next one. Bye bye.
I just need time.